Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently open your eyes. Okay, and y'all can come on to the front so the people that are late have a chance to sit without disturbing others, if you don't mind. Just backbenchers. All right. So we had several questions last week about what is Sattvic Dhanam. So I did my homework, and this is a problem for you all. If you give me time to do homework, I'll come back with a lot of wonderful stories and scriptures. So we'll get started with answering that today, and then we'll go on to the verses. So Sattvic Dhanam is mentioned in chapter 17 in particular, and verses 20, 21, and 22. 20 is Sattvic Dhanam, 21 is Rajasic, and 22 is Tamasic. Okay. So for those of you not familiar with the terms Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic, Sattvic is what is considered the most noble, pure, right? Then Rajasic has to do with activity or agitation. And Tamasic, it has to do with dullness, kind of just that not so bright light bulb. Lazy, yes. And this whole creation is created with all three. They're called gunas, right? 3 gunas. And we need all 3 to get through the day, right? So when you need to sleep should not be when you have Rajasic energy. You need Tamasic energy when you need to sleep, right? That's what calms you down. And then for Sattvic energy is usually the highest in the morning. So that's why you're supposed to do pujas, meditation, all of that is good for us, and we're more open to it in the morning. So Sattvic energy is highest in the morning. And then Rajas comes after that, and then Tamas, afternoon, we feel sleepy. And then Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So we go through that around us. So in our environment, you have those 3 gunas as energy, but also within us. And the best is when it's aligned. When I'm supposed to be energetic outside, people expect that energetic and high activity on the outside, and that's how I feel on the inside too, which means I can deliver, right? It's unfortunate when we're expected to be Rajasic outside, but inside we're feeling very Tamasic. It causes friction, right? That's usually why our Shastras tell us, wake up at a certain time, do this at a certain time, take a rest at a certain time. In fact, our Shastras tell us that after sunset, we shouldn't eat anything because our body isn't, supposed to be digesting food post-sunset. We're actually not even supposed to be outside the house post-sunset, which is funny. That's how my parents are like, oh, never be outside the house. By the time the sun sets, you should be back. And I'm like, Ma, that's when we go out, right? That's when you go for movies and sleepovers and whatever. The mall is where we would hang out before screens were a big thing, right? But there's a reason. It's because our energies inside should match with the external energy. So when the sun sets, that means that energy source, that sun, is taking a break. Therefore, we should also take a break. We should take that time to rest. And early morning sun rays, right during sunrise, the sun is providing us with so much energy, fresh energy. So that's when we should be up studying. This whole late night owl thing is not according to Shastras, right? We all should be early birds, ideally. Ideally. And when we're not, that means that our internal clock is off, right? Sometimes we can feel so hungry at 10, 11 o'clock at night. It takes a lot of discipline not to go into that kitchen and eat that snack, right? It's tough. But that means we shouldn't be up at 11 or 10. We should try to sleep before we feel hungry. It's the best way to fight the hunger, be asleep, because sleep takes precedence over hunger. All right. So now we know sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. We'll see what is sattvic dhanam. Datavyamiti taddanam diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam sattvikam smritam. Tat dhanam, that is dhanam, known as sattvikam smritam, known as sattvic. That dhanam, what is that? The gift which is given to one who does nothing in return, meaning you don't expect anything from the other person. So, datavyam iti yaddanam, you give it, diyate anupakarine. It doesn't have to come back to you, right? So basically, it's not some agreement. You donate to me today, tomorrow I'll donate to you, right? That's not how dhanam works. Then, datavyam, meaning it's your duty to give. Meaning it's what I'm supposed to do. It's not something compelled. It's not something that I do for showcase to the world. It's because it's the right thing to do. And I genuinely feel that way. Datavyam, it's a kartavyam, it's a duty. Then, this is something I think is tricky because there's debate on it. But give in a fit time, kale, deshe, place, and patre. Patrecha. Patram is not just bowl. In some languages, patram is a bowl. But patre is that person that is worthy of getting this dhanam. Aren't you being judgmental when you're saying, is this person worthy of getting a dhanam? We'll continue, and then the tamasic will explain it better. So this next one is rajasika dhanam. Yattu pratyupakarartham yattu pratyupakarartham palamuddishya va punah diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. So that pratyupakarartham, that where you are expecting something in return. So pratyupakaram, it needs to come back to you. So sometimes people say, karma, it's a cycle, right? And you have to give to get. When you give, you get. Like it makes it sound like you should expect to get. That's rajasika dhanam. Then phalam uddishya, expecting a phalam, a return, uddishya, with that expectation. Va punaha, that it'll come back like a boomerang, right? If I give, it'll come. If I give, it'll come, like an unwritten rule. Then looking for a fruit, and given reluctantly. So where's that? Pariklishtam. Pariklishtam. What a tongue twister. Pariklishtam. When you're giving it reluctantly. That I kind of don't want to give it, but it's kind of like when you ask your kids to give up toys that they want to donate, right? You want to give up the Spider-Man? Is it Spider-Man or Iron Man? Okay, take Spider-Man. Right? Like, fine. No offense to Spider-Man lovers. But I've been told sometimes people listen to the satsangs in the car with their kids there, so I have to be more careful what I say too. So reluctantly given, right? So it says that gift which is given with a view to receive in return, looking for fruit again, and given reluctantly. These three are rajasika dhanam. I think most of the time we are giving rajasikally. Then the last one, tamasikam. Tamasika dhanam. Adesha kale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkritam avagnatam tattamasamudahritam. Adesha, wrong place, akala, so you take the and it goes with adesha and akala, so adesha kale, wrong place and time, and apatre. Here if you split it wrong, it becomes patre. So it's the right person but the wrong time and place. No, also the wrong person, that gift, or wrong person meaning unworthy person. And also, asatkritam. That's a very important one, and it goes to the question asked. Without respect. When you give without respect. Asatkritam. And also, if you insult them when you give it to them. So, avagnatam. Avagnatam. When you insult when you give. That is known to be tamasika dhanam. When you throw when you give, right? Like I've seen people do that. I'm like, bro, I don't want it anymore, right? Like when people just insultingly give, right? Like, oh, I have enough. Here, take it. I don't like it. Anyway, that's tamasika dhanam. Now, why are we saying that it has to be the right person or a worthy person? Because and Gurudev actually addresses it in his commentary. He says some people believe we should be like the tree, give no matter what, right? And it doesn't matter who gets the fruit. Well, he says we are people with intellects, and we should use that intellect to ensure that we do enough research before giving. Because we don't even want to subconsciously perpetuate something that's negative or papam in the world. And is it easy? No, it is not easy at all. Because in today's world, you don't know where money is going and how fast it's going and behind how many different layers of bank accounts, right? You'll be giving to one organization and they're a foundation that gives to something else, and that foundation ends up giving to another foundation, right? So it is a mess. And trust me, having done research, I realized how much money and effort and time I've put into the wrong organizations, right? We've all done it. And either we're lazy or we just blindly believe, right? Like, or both. We're just like, I don't have time to do the research. But this makes me really happy, but we've had kids graduate from Chinman Mission, right? And their first paycheck comes. Out of that, they give back to mission. Right? And I'm like, wow, full circle, because we've talked about this in classes. Their parents have, seen, and they say, look, it might not be a global thing I'm giving to, and it might not be tangible where I get to see the money being used in terms of food, or I don't selfishly see everything, right? But I know I benefited from it. And in a time of confusion for me, my teachers were there. This is an organization that I'm locally willing to give to, right? And you can globally give as well. Mission has a lot of programs. But when you're convinced of something, and especially if you've been a beneficiary of something, you tend to give more. Why do you think so many colleges and universities have foundations and endowments? It's because people give back to something they've gotten from, right? It's kritagnyata. Right? Out of gratefulness that they give. So I think somebody was talking about somebody on the street, right? Like you don't know what they're going to use the money for. You have bottles of water in the car, and unperishable goods, right? Non-perishable goods, and you can give that to them, right? If they come around. And if they don't want it, they don't want it. And that's happened before. I'm like, hey, it's a hot day here. They're like, I don't want that. Give me money. I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, it is what it is, right? So if you want to give through means, have that in your car, be genuine, and give that way, right? I know one person, they had just come back from Costco. They had stuff they had bought. They didn't have any, of their usual stuff to give, so they just gave them something they had just bought from Costco. Yes, it was fresh, but hey, they didn't have anything else. Here, take some, chocolates that I just bought, whatever, right? And it takes a lot of honesty within ourselves, right? Do I genuinely care? Am I going to do something about it? And the answer might not be yes all the time. Maybe some days you're just like, I'm not, I don't have the energy. But when you do give, it should be with that genuine emotion, right? And it shouldn't be because, oh, I feel guilty. Because that goes again under Rajasic, right? It should be I have, and Gurudev says you give from a place of plenty, right? So there's a beautiful story in Kathopanishad, and we won't go through the entire Kathopanishad, don't worry. But it has to do with wonderful little Nachiketa. And he's a young boy, And what happens is, and we think this only happens in our time, where people donate the most atrocious things to charity, things that they've used 1,000,000 times and wiped the floor with, and then they're like, oh, I'm ready to donate. I remember raising money for a charity once, and we asked for donations from the community, and we had to get rid of half the stuff, because I was like, it's not even right to give that stuff to people, you know? And anyway, this has happened for a while. And here, it's set where Nachiketa's father is doing a homam, a yajna. During that yajna, he has to give away dhanam of cows, Krishna, of cows, of gold, of clothes, everything. At that time, dhanam was proper dhanam. And Nachiketa, having studied in an ashram, because at that age you go to a gurukulam as soon as you have your upanayam, which is 5, 7, 8, around that time. And then you only come back after you've studied for 8, 12 years, sometime around there. And so Nachiketa comes back and he's watching this yajna, he's watching everything. Remember, he studied the scriptures. This is what he sees. Pito daka jugdhatrana dugdha doha nirindriyaha ananda namate lokaha tan sagachati tadadat. This is what is given in the scriptures. He says, what is my father doing? These cows, look at these cows. Pito daka. They have drunk water for the last time. Okay, next. Jugdhatrana. They have eaten grass for the last time. Dugdha doha. They've given milk for the last time. Basically, they're too old to even give milk, right, to yield any outcome. Then nirindriyaha. They're barren. They're not going to be able to have any more children. And not ananda, ananda. If you read it wrong, it changes the whole meaning. They're really sad, these cows. And he says, oh no, these cows aren't sad. Let me continue. Anandaha namate loka. The place where the person goes who gives such kind of dhanam is a joyless place. Basically, your punishment, if you give this kind of dhanam, tamasika dhanam, is a place where you'll never be happy. A very, very sad place. So this is what the scriptures say. So it's not just today that people do bad dhanam. It's been happening since Upanishad times. This is the Upanishad. So these basically useless cows, right? He's giving out these useless cows to all these brahmanas. That what are they going to do with those cows? They're vegetarian. They're not going to use these cows for any purpose. There's no milk, there's no children, there's nothing coming from these cows, right? Yet, he's saying, I am giving dhanam, I'm a great king. Nachiketa has studied the scriptures. He says, oh no, what will happen to my father if he does this kind of a tamasika dhanam? He starts feeling bad for his father. And like kids do, pulling on the veshti, pulling on father. Who are you going to give me to? Who are you going to give me? What are you going to do dhanam with me? Because you're supposed to give that which is the most precious to you. The most important, the most precious, the most youthful, the most healthy. He's like, I'm healthier than these cows. I'm important to my father. Who are you going to give me to? Who are you going to give me to? He asks once, twice, and then 3 times. Soha vacha pitaram tatak kasmai mam dadasi iti. Kasmai mam dadati. Kasmai mam dadati. Who are you going to give me to? Dvitiyam tritiyam. He kept asking twice, thrice, tritiyam. Tamho vacha. Then the dad was upset. The father was upset and irritated. Mrityavetva dadami iti. Mrityavetva. What? I'll give you to Yamadharma Raja. Go away. What? Mrityavetva dadami iti. I will give you to Yamadharma Raja. And it's come out of a king's mouth. Kshatriyas had value to their words back then. And that means he has to fulfill that, whether it came from anger or whatever it was. And what does Nachiketa say? He doesn't say, no, that's not cool. You're sending me to Yamadharmaraja? I can't even live in the palace. I just got back from the ashram. He's like, may it be so. Thank you. And he actually goes and sits at the steps of Yamadharmaraja. And Yamadharmaraja is taking his own time. For days he sits there. And then the conversation they have. Amazing conversation. Yamadharmaraja tells him, your dad was just upset, beta. You should just go back. What do you want? You want gold, you want this, you want beautiful life, family, children. What do you want? Go. And Nachiketa is like, no, my father gave me to you. It's his dhanam. And I'm not going anywhere. In fact, I have questions for you. I have questions for you. You're the king of death. I have questions about life and death. You should know. What happens to people when they die? What's the point of birth and death? And man, incredible. They have a great conversation. But that's not the point of today's class. The point of today's class is what happens if you do tamasika dhanam. And people have been doing tamasika dhanam for centuries, actually yugas. And it is up to us to be sincere in giving. Do the research, look at, okay, where does this money go to? Do I want to see the result of that money? Then if you do, then go there and do the dhanam yourself. I know so many people that give money to orphanages and things like that, right? And I actually stayed at an orphanage, not as a volunteer, for a couple of months. And, well, a couple of weeks and then months later on. But sometimes the donations don't go all the way through. They get stored for other people, or it's only for special days, and it's actually really sad. But you make the food, or you order it from a great place, you go there and you serve them, if you want to be sincere, right? Oh, but I live here, and the orphanage I want to give to is there. See if you have friends and family who are willing to give on your behalf. Maybe they'll gain some punya too, right? Include them in the process. Or do your research well enough to know that these kids are being taken care of properly, right? Food, clothes, or anything, right? Because there's enough people wanting to take advantage of situations in today's world. This is Kali Yuga, right? So we should do our due diligence and try to do sattvic dhanam as much as possible, especially holidays, right? And another thing, somebody was saying, what if people use it for drugs and alcohol and stuff? That's not healthy. You're not helping their life. You don't need to force them to change their lifestyle, because who are you? Right? You're not. That's one thing that we need to be aware of. I'm not sent to save you. It's not the approach we should take. But I'm willing to give food and clothes. And if you choose to trade that food and clothes for something else, then that's a whole a level removed, right? There's only so much you can do. Then the question came, how about the other person? They should know that we respect them, right? We can't control what they think, but we can control how we behave. If I go in there with a snooty attitude, right? With that arrogance of I am the giver and you are the receiver. Oh, I never eat at the places where I donate food. Why? You're sitting with them, you're eating with them, you don't just give and go. You're spending time with them. Sometimes that's the dignity that they want, that's all. It's not whether it's a 5-star meal. Are you sitting at the same table and eating with me, right? So we do as much possible on our end to give that dignity and respect to them. But if somebody's always feeling like the victim, then you can't change that. And it's not your job to change that, right? So, sattvika dhanam. We're done. I think I've exhausted that with story and everything. So, we'll continue. We'll just chant the second verse, and then we'll continue with the virtues. Remember the 26 virtues we talked about? We'll do the next set. We did 9. We'll do the next set. So we'll do lead and repeat of this verse 2. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Dridhadhiyatam. Shantyadi parichiyatam dridhataram. Shantyadi parichiyatam dridhataram. Karmashu santyajyatam. Santyajyatam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidinam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidinam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Brahmaikaksaramarthyatam shrutishiraha. Brahmaikaksaramarthyatam shrutishiraha. Vakyam samakarnyatam. Vakyam samakarnyatam. Sangha satsu vidhiyatam. Seek companionship with men of wisdom. Be established in firm devotion to the Lord. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Then shantyadi parichiyatam dridhataram. Cultivate the virtues such as shanti and so on. Shanti adi. So what verse were we looking at? 7. Okay. So we looked at Daivi and Asuri Sampatti. The virtues come from the Daivi or the godliness, and Asuri is the devilish, if you want to put it in that language. But here, divine and decadent is what's given here. So we looked at the first verse. The first verse speaks of, doesn't say, Abhayam is the first one. Remember, I asked everyone to pick something that spoke to them from that verse. I definitely did that. It was eye-opening for me, right? I was like, okay, I got into a fight with a friend or a family, whatever. Okay, where is this anger coming from? Dig deeper. Okay, what happens if they don't listen to my perspective? Okay, where does it hurt me? And you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and it lands at a place where you're like, oh man, I did not know I had a fear of helplessness, loneliness, whatever it is, right? Disrespect, that worthiness, right? So many times it leads to that, right? Am I worth being respected or loved or listened to, right? And the fear takes you to that place of, why am I hurting? And then when you look at that hurt, what do you replace with it? Where do you go with that? Do I just sit there and say, yeah, I'm feeling lonely and helpless? That's just sad me. No. With that, you reach out to the one unconditional source of love, which is Bhagavan, right? Eventually, it has to take us to Bhagavan. Yes, there are therapies, there are group counseling, there's so many things we can do, and mentors we can talk to, right? We have people we can reach out to sometimes, and some of you do reach out, and thank you for being vulnerable, right? But beyond that, if we have a strong dridhataram connection with Bhagavan, we can pull ourselves out of that dark place, right? So that fear, I hope you all had a chance to do some thinking on it. So abhayam, sattva samshuddhi, I'll just state them. Abhayam, fearlessness, sattva samshuddhi, purity of heart. Jnana yoga vyavasthitaha, steadfastness in the yoga of knowledge. Dhanam, giving. Damaha, control of the senses, right? And it'll come later. Then yajna, sacrifice. What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I not willing to sacrifice? When I sacrifice, am I doing it willingly, or am I being forced to do it? Then swadhyayaha, study of the Shastras. Do I pick up the Bhagavad Gita when I'm in that dark place? Or do I scream into a pillow? Or do I yell at people? How is it coming out? Where am I seeking that support from? Because we all need that support when we're not in a place to support ourselves with ourselves. Atma santushti. So then arjavam, straightforwardness. Tapaha, austerity, and arjavam, straightforwardness. The next verse I'm just going through them. If you have questions, stop, and like we did with Dhanam, we can go deeper, right? But I know we have another text we're covering, so I'm not taking too much time on the Gita. Then ahimsa satya ahimsa satyam akrodha tyaga shantirapaishunam daya bhuteshvalo luptvam mardavam hriya chapalam. So these are the next few. Ahimsa, harmlessness. We'll talk about ahimsa. Satyam, satya samshuddhi. Samshuddhi, it came from the last verse also, but satyam, truth. Living in that truth, speaking truth. Remember what we talked about truth. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. Apriyam, even if it's satyam, na bruyat. So when you speak the truth, speak it lovingly. If you don't know how to speak it lovingly, just don't say it, right? So ahimsa, satya, akrodha, absence of anger. That's a tough one. We might think that it's easy, but in the right, perfect circumstances, it's the hardest thing, right? There's a really cute story about, when you go to Kashi, you're supposed to give something up, right? You visit Kashi, you give something up. And sometimes people start off giving up fruits or vegetables, right? They say, for a year, and sometimes people go to Kashi when they do the Shraddha Karma, or the Shraddha Karma, the post-funeral rites, right? The last rites, right? Because it's not the funeral, it's something you continue to do after the funeral. So they say for 1 year, I won't eat, and you should pick something you like. Don't pick, I'm not going to eat karela for a year. No, that's not how it works. Sometimes, I think my dad did mangoes, 1 year, and he loves mangoes. So for him, that was hard, but that's what he did. And then some people love eggplant, right? There's no nutrition, I think, from eggplant, but people love eggplant. So eggplant, whatever you love, right? And nowadays soda, right? Caffeine. Pick something that you really have an addiction to, right? An attachment to, and you leave that for a year. So you can do fruits, you can do vegetables. But then, the deeper you get in your sadhana, you give up certain habits. So this young boy and his grandfather were talking, and the grandfather had just gotten back from Kashi. And the child says, what did you give up, Tata, from, because he hears stories around. These days nobody hears, but these stories. My dear grandson, I have given up anger. And he said, Tata, really? You've given up anger? You think it's that easy to give up anger? Anger, I love to get angry. Sometimes my toys, when they play, they get angry, and then they fight, and he goes on and on. Yes, beta, I've given up anger. So you mean this won't make you angry? That won't make you angry? If I spill this, it won't make you angry? If I break this, it won't make you angry? No, it won't make me angry. And this grandfather's beautiful garden. Me breaking this rose won't make you angry? This jasmine, this tulasi. Don't touch the tulasi, Mata. Don't do it. See, Tata, you haven't given up anger. What have you really given up? It's not easy. I try all the time. I still get angry sometimes. The little boy is telling his grandfather. So anyway, it's a funny story. But it's usually, this is how the universe works, don't ask me. But usually the thing we're working on the most is what's going to get tested the most. I don't know how it happens, right? You'll say, this week I'm not going to get angry. And the most irritating people show up in your life that week. The worst phone calls, the worst text messages. People who haven't talked to you in 6 months will irritate. Hey, remember we went out to eat? I don't think you Venmo'd me what you owed me. Bro, that was like 6 months ago. I don't even know what I ate. And you'll get irritated for the smallest things, right? So it's just how it works. The world tests us. And you look at about rishis, yogis sitting there trying to do tapas. Then you have Rama, Menaka, Urvashi come and dance in front of them, right? It's our dridham, whether we are for sure about this, our steadfastness, our discipline, everything gets tested, right? And anger is one such thing, because what genuinely happens neurologically is we are not in the same plane of existence that we were before, right? And I've been around people that have serious anger issues. And when I talk to them after the event, right, it's like, I don't know who that person was. And that's the reality when we get carried away with any emotion, whether it's self-pity, whether it's anger, whether it's jealousy. We don't know who we are when that happens. But is that an excuse? Oh, that's just who I am. You knew that when we started dating, when we got married. I was like that before I had kids. I'm going to be like that now. I mean, there's ways that we can justify it. But when we dig deeper, we realize that it's something we have to work on. We have to overcome. And can we catch ourselves before we get in the zone? Because I agree. I think there are situations where we just get so sucked into it that our brain is not functioning like it normally does. We've all been there, whether it's anxiety or depression or stress or anything. How do I get the triggers, right? Okay, I know I'm about to flip. One more thing and I'm about to get upset. Sometimes we can. If we're vigilant enough, we can. At that point, we walk away. And I've tried that. I'm in a conversation with people. I really can't, what you're saying is against my value system, but I know saying something right now is not going to help. Walk away. Because Swati, if you stand here right now, you know your mouth's going to open. You better walk away. That's my intellect telling my mind, right? Walk away. Take a break, right? Not in a rude slam the doorway, right? But, hey, I'll be right back. We'll pick this up. I promise I'll be right back. And you go in, whether you like rock music, bhajans, Carnatic music, sit in the car, crank it up, get your break, recenter yourself, right? Or maybe you just need to go for a quiet walk where you're cracking your knuckles, whatever it is, right? Whatever you can do to catch yourself, and you come back to the situation as a sane person, right? Because we can all get triggered so quickly. The best we can do is catch ourselves early. The even best thing we can do is not get angry at all, but that's a lofty goal. And I hope all of us understand that, right? It's a very lofty goal to change your habits overnight. You're only going to get angrier at yourself, and that's going to spread. It's going to ripple. I wish I didn't get so angry. Work on it, little at a time, right? And the ones I spend time on are things either I've spent time on or I've had to learn from other people, because I have no relationship with that, and they've taught me, hey, this is what happens when I get this way, so this is how you need to help me, and they taught me how to help them. Okay, so absence of anger, tyagaha, renunciation, right? Again, renunciation can be vegetables and fruits, right? Whatever we choose to do tyaga of. And again, it's not tyaga because I'm being forced to do it. It's tyaga because it doesn't call me anymore. I'm done. I'm done with the roller coasters. Or you guys have a good time at that party at 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to go to sleep because I'm genuinely looking forward to sleeping. There is no temptation. There's no FOMO, right? You're not doing it out of, man, it's my turn to sleep and it's their turn to go out, and you're not keeping score. You genuinely are happy with how things are, right? Then peacefulness, shanti. This is where we started the conversation. Shanti adi, shanti, peacefulness. I don't need to explain. Peacefulness, we all want it. Apaishunam, absence of crookedness. Absence of crookedness. Crookedness looks in different ways for us. Sometimes it can feel like a practical joke that we're playing, right? Oh, somebody, pulled my chair last time. This time I'm going to pull their chair, right? Like it happens with kids, and it's funny with kids, but you do that at a board meeting or something. It's not funny. That becomes petty, right? It becomes petty. So crookedness sometimes takes form in pettiness. Or sometimes you make a joke that stings a little, and they're like, oh, it was just a joke. Well, if it comes from a place of being disrespectful or pettiness, it's not funny. That's crookedness, right? So crookedness has very subtle ways it can show up in our world. Ooh, sarcasm. Oh, I used to be a sarcastic queen, right? In high school, college, and then later on I was like, no, that's not funny, right? Like, unless you have the right opponent, right? Like, you meet people who are just like witty and sharp, and you have that banter and nobody takes it personally. Very rarely you have that. Then you can be, your sarcastic self. But many times people get silent because they don't have that comeback. When you have an upper hand, that's not funny anymore, right? It's a show of power over people, and that's very painful for them. And it can be painful for you when you realize what you've done. Because until you realize the hurt you cause, it can be funny and clever, but it's not. So, then next one, daya, compassion. We know compassion. Bhuteshu, compassion for all beings, not just the ones that I like. Right? I like you, so I'm going to be compassionate to you, but I don't like you, so I'm not going to be compassionate to you. Compassion for all beings. Then, aloluptvam. What a word. There are literally 3 letters combined in one. The pa, the ta, and the va. Putvam. Uncovetousness. Basically not feeling jealous. Right? If somebody has something, you don't have to keep one-upping them. I think we would do this in school too. I stayed up till 11 doing homework. Oh, I stayed up till 1 doing homework. Good for you, you lost more sleep. What's the proud thing to say, right? Oh, I haven't had an hour of sleep in 3 years. That's sad, right? Like, I'm sorry. Like, what can I do to help you get more sleep, right? It's not about, oh, well, I haven't slept in 5 years. We don't have to be jealous and one-up each other, right? Then, mardavam, gentleness. Realize how these are all values given to all human beings that are seekers of truth and a peaceful life, not just men or women. I'm saying that because mardavam is gentleness. Women can be gentle and men can be gentle, right? Gentleness is about how we carry ourselves, right? Pumstvam, which some people say is only a man trait, pumstvam is having that clear-mindedness and rational and disciplined lifestyle, that pumstvam. And men and women can have pumstvam, right? It's not set to one, but some people attack the Bhagavad Gita based on that. So, gentleness, that's something we all can practice because we live in a very aggressive world. What do we call it? Dog eat dog? That word itself, right? That's not nice. You imagine the words. Sometimes we say things that are common sayings. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. What? That's very aggressive, but we say it all the time. Normal language, right? Oh, you have a great idea, but let's not throw the baby out with the... No, don't use that kind of language, right? We can be a little bit more gentle in our speech. Then, hrihi, modesty. Modesty in how we present ourselves, both physically but also intellectually, right? The whole world doesn't need to know you're a double PhD, triple master's. That's a long time and a lot of money to spend in school, but still. And that's not a definition of success either, right? I remember meeting people and they'll be like, oh, I have 3 kids and, one's a PhD, one's a doctor, one's a lawyer, okay. And? Like, they expect me to be impressed and stunned by that or compliment their way of raising children by that, right? For me, whether your child is a high school graduate or a PhD holder, are they a kind human being? When I come to your home, are we sitting together and smiling and talking? That's a decent human being, right? So this modesty can be, yes, how we dress, sure, I always dress modest, but how's my speech? Am I being modest in my speech? You don't have to downplay yourself. If somebody asks, right, like, have you studied? Yeah, I've done my PhD in this, and the subject is this. I enjoy it very much, period. Then they ask you more, you give more. But, oh yeah, and I have a talk coming up in Switzerland, and there's a conference happening in Germany, and I could get you some tickets in first class if you'd like, but you have to know the subject and also have to have a PhD. Nobody asked, right? like it's about, mitam is also said to be an important part of our speech. Mitam, say what is needed. Nothing more than that. Mitam, measured speech. Hitam, is it good for others? Mitam, is it measured? And of course, is it priyam? Is it loving? And satyam, truth. So 4 ways to watch what we say. Modesty. Next, last one of this verse. Achapalam, absence of fickleness. Fickleness. What do you want to eat tonight? This is where we all get. I'm thinking Mexican, maybe Italian, but I really don't want to spend that money. Can I just make khichdi? I mean, we have dal and rice. We always have dal and rice and ghee and, cumin seeds. Khichdi! But we had khichdi last night. Oh, there's this new restaurant. Okay, you started this conversation at 7. It's currently 9 o'clock. Khichdi it is. Right? How many times we go in that circle? Or leftovers in the fridge, whatever it is. The absence of fickleness. What do I want? We spend so much time going back and forth. Some of the most, and these are some like quick tricks that people do to live a more disciplined life, but some people actually own 10 of the same kind of outfits, right? Very successful people have shared this. Successful. Why? Because you don't waste time looking in the mirror, trying on every combination and permutation of what you have in your closet. When we were at the Vedanta course, everybody wore white. White top, white bottom, white sari. White blouse. You don't have to mix it up. Right? Then if you're a brahmachari, yellow. Then, the beautiful thing about the human mind, I still want to stand out. I want to look special. So one person got a white sari that was embroidered in white. Another person got a white blouse with puffy sleeves. Then this other person got a white dhoti with this nice red, border. Namam and everything. Shanku namam, everything. Then purple border, green border, everything started coming out. We keep trying to stand out, be unique. It just wastes most of our time, right? And with white clothes, we can tell if you've worn it for 4 days, right? It's easy to kind of be clear about that. Be like, okay, your white clothes are not clean. Most likely you haven't done your laundry or you don't care to scrub hard enough. For me, it was scrubbing hard enough. I had never done laundry by hand till the course, and I never again. But absence of fickleness. So our brain wants to stand out. It wants to look all this beautiful, diverse, this, that, whatever it is. But the less choices we have, again, the second time I'm referencing this TED Talk, I think it was about genes, right? The diversity of types of genes available. The paradox of choices. Less choices, more clear our mind is. You don't have to be so, spontaneous because it takes up so much time. My parents had the same pair of slippers for everything. I started high school, I started buying more and more different types of shoes. They'd be like, you already have these slippers. Yeah, but they're not closed-toed shoes. I need that for my chemistry class. Okay, fine. Oh, but then I need this for my swimming class. Oh, okay. Then I need this because, we're going out to a fancy restaurant and you don't want to wear flip-flops. Like, the Bata shoes don't work for everything, Ma. But, hey, for them it did, right? And when I'm in India, Bata is my go-to. I go there, I go to the Bata showroom, I buy my Bata shoes, and they last, right? But here, we're like, oh, these are dress shoes, these are brown, brown doesn't go with black. I don't even know. We complicate our own lives, right? But the less choices we have, the less opportunity we have to be fickle and say, I want this, I don't want that, this goes with this. Have somebody else pick out your outfit, have 5 outfits, and recycle them. That's all. That's all it's needed, right? We don't, it covers where we need to cover. We look decent, it's clean. What else do we need, right? But that's how I express myself. As long as you're not wasting time on it, sure, right? Because the problem is when we're fickle about it. But if you go to bed knowing exactly what accessory you're going to wear with what shoes, power to you. Then you do you, right? So absence of fickleness is also something that we can work on. Before you say, what do you want to eat? Try saying, tonight I want to eat Mexican food and exactly a whatever, enchilada with this, this, and this from this restaurant. Maybe that'll reduce the back and forth, unless you have a fickle partner. But I don't feel like Mexican. Okay, what do you feel like? I don't know. I know, some of you are already tired of this conversation. All right, so the reason I said we need to talk about ahimsa, which I guess we'll have time for next week because we're out of time. But the only thing I'll say is ahimsa is not us being a rug to walk over, right? You don't say, I believe in ahimsa, therefore everybody please disrespect me, right? I know this is controversial, but ahimsa also needs to include himsa to oneself. Right? At any point, if there's harm being done to you as a human being worthy of having a decent life, that should be spoken up against, right? If you are somebody who has masters the body, mind, and intellect, and if somebody says something to you, you can say, hey, slap, okay, slap, I don't care, I'm not the body. That's a different mindset, and I respect that. But if one slap comes and you say, hey, that hurts, but what to do? I have to believe in ahimsa. Here, keep beating me up. That's not what ahimsa means, and I think people misunderstand it, right? So I'll stop there, but ahimsa has to do with words, it has to do with actions, it has to do with thoughts, even harmful thoughts. And ahimsa is internal as well as external, right? So look at the ones from this week. See if there's something that speaks to you. I've been enjoying this journey. It's been pushing me to rely on Bhagavan and the scriptures. I hope it does the same for you. We'll end with Purnamadaha. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.